I'm Terry Lucas.
And I'm Debbie Brown.
And this is the book report. How are you, Debbie?
I'm doing great. How are you, Terry?
Oh, very good. What's the weather like in New York?
Cold. It's winter. Well, not, but it's winter.
It's winter. It's winter here. But I suspect you and I have a slightly different understanding of what winter is right now. What's the temperature by you?
It's a low of 21, high of 43.
Oh, hey. I think it is about 73 right now, and it was in the 50s this morning, and I had to wear a sweater. Sorry. My bad. What's behind you? Because you've got a great quilt behind you.
It is a long-term applique project. I am every year's New Year's resolution is to finish up my old projects. No one else has unfinished projects. But I just finished a 6-year-old applique project and was going to start another one when I remembered that I had a 20 to 25-year-old applique project. So now I'm working on that.
And how big will it be?
It'll be twin size.
Oh, that's a good
size. A piece of cake pattern.
Oh, she and I are neighbors now. We live about 3 hours apart. And in Texas, that's neighbors. Because your block is always bigger.
And what do you have behind you on the wall?
This is Wanderlost, and it is portrait it's landscape rather than portrait. So it's hanging on the wall. And this was in Modern Quilting magazine a few years ago. It is one of Melanie Testa's fabric lines.
Floribunda.
It is Floribunda. Thank you, because I did not remember
line. I bought that line too.
Yeah, and what the quilting on this, and I will drop a couple of pictures in. The quilting on this is a little bit of nod to modern quilting and a little bit of a nod to kind of what I do as quilting, which is like, eclectic, right? Is that a good way to put it? Yeah, it's eclectic. So we both have books today, and I am going to start with dun 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 Represent by embroidery by Bianca Springer. And I was looking through, before we come on, I take a look through the books, and one of the things that there are two things that always get me with books, and I can usually tell how good they're going to be by these two things. One is the dedication, and part of that just kind of lets me know, like, the quilter is somebody who's generous, she's done the work, whatever. And then the introduction. Introductions are important because they kind of set the tone for the whole book. And the thing that I loved about her introduction is she says, I loved that I could draw with needle and thread without complicated tools. And this is what got me, once I understood the foundational skills, I enjoyed working without adult supervision. She actually started learning how to embroider when she was in grade school. So, probably 3rd, 4th grade. And some of the techniques that she employs in the book are really unique, and I have not seen them anywhere. For example, to create curly hair, like really short kind of curly hair, she uses a chopstick and stitches around that, then pulls the chopstick out. To create braids, she's got several different ways of creating braids. To create shorter hairstyles, she uses a combination of French knots and a few other things to create the kind of African American or African looking hair, kind of a very natural, very short style of hair. And what I loved as I kind of went through is that there are a lot of projects in there. Some of the she does something called a dope, um, a dope like zipper tote bag. And like when you and I were in high school, dope meant like it was really amazing. And so uh, she does a really good job with her directions. She does a good job with explaining the embroidery and showing all of the techniques that are in there. And I love that part of the focus is on African American hair or African hair and the different braiding styles. So for me, total must have. If you are into embroidery, this is something that you must have. If you are not into embroidery, I think this is a must have for a couple of reasons. She does a really good job explaining different stitches, and she gives you things to look at that outside of doing it for hair, these are things that you can incorporate in other styles of embroidery. So Deb, what's your first?
My first is Christmas Surprises by Anne Hazelwood. And it's a quilt novel, and it's a series of quilt novels. And I love quilt novels for reasons you wouldn't expect. My mom loves to receive presents in the mail. And I've sent her a bunch of like any quilt novels I know, because those are the ones I get to see. You know, I don't necessarily get book lists, but I get quilt book lists. And mom loves the days she gets books in the mail, and then she tells me how it's going. And she has certain things. Mom, I haven't looked in this one to see if it fits all of her qualifications, but I know she'll love it, so I'm sending it to her. Mom likes short chapters.
Okay.
That's one thing she definitely likes, because she likes to be able to close the book. And she likes characters she can follow along with in a series. So this comes as part of a series of books, and I know she's going to love it. So mom's going to get a surprise package in the mail.
Yay. Yay. And in your kind of reading through, was there something that you just loved about it?
Nothing specific. It just looked like it fit the bill, the character, the heart of it.
Yeah. Okay. So you'll be surprised that my second book is Free Motion Quilting Combinations by Christina Cameli. Right? Partly I love this book because I think Christina Cameli has a really amazing, you can do this kind of approach to free motion stitching. And she takes a little bit of what we would consider these days a modern bent. And I say that because there is in our quilting world, there is a little bit of a specific modern style that happens out there. The lines we don't see so many feathers, we see other designs. And Christina loves to combine these designs so that you get another look to something. And usually these are complementary designs. So you might have something that's a little bit more of a straighter line with a little bit more of a curvy line, or just like having at it using curves and curves. So really kind of fun. And one of the things that I loved about this is that for quilters who are less experienced, and I'm not saying new quilters, but quilters who are less experienced, this is one of those ways to start pairing designs so that at some point you can jump off the springboard into the pool and go create your own kinds of stitching. And, again, Christina takes an easy approach. She always has line drawings in her books, and she's just kind of fun.
I love Christina. She's a wonderful person and a great inspirational quilter. I think it's really inspiring for anyone to see how someone else's thought process goes about, oh, you can put this with that and it's okay. And I think it's a permission thing in there.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you there. There is a little bit of, for some reason, even as adults, we need permission to pursue the things that, like, we've got these ideas and somebody just has to it's okay if you do that. So I'm right with you there. And oddly enough, I think one of us is really good at giving people permission to do the free motion quilting that they love. does she have classes coming? You?
I
New
have, I have online classes, but aren't you giving quilters permission since?
Oh, since 2009, I give quilters permission to do whatever they want. And like Bianca, it's once we understand the foundation, we can go do whatever we want.
Mhm.
Oh, Debbie, while we're talking free motion quilting, did I tell you that in the new year, I'm going to have a little bit of a surprise?
You want to spill it? Can you spill some?
Yes, I'm going to actually spill it here on the book report. I am going to do free motion quilting designs on my YouTube channel. So I'm going to film them and post them to YouTube. They're going to be 3 to 6 minute videos tops. And I'm also going to incorporate things that are in my book, like color choices and needle and thread pairings, and probably do some, hey, this looks like crap kind of things. And I'm going to pull it all out or explain, how to fix some things. So yeah, watch for that in the new year.
So people should subscribe to your newsletter to learn more and figure out how to follow along.
They should. And in the show notes, I will have a link to sign up for my newsletter and for yours. So what's your next book?
My next book is a little different. It's not quilting. Like my last book wasn't quilting, but it was in the quilt world of a novel. This is Learn to Watercolor. In the last year, I have been stepping outside of my wheelhouse. I'm all in on quilting, all in piecing, applique. I don't do paper piecing very much. I mean, I have directions I like to go, but quilting is where I live. And I have been doodling and drawing and doing some painting, and following art outside of the quilt world to think a little differently about things and pull and see how that informs my quilting differently. So I thought the Learn to Watercolor book would be great. And watercolor is so achievable because I didn't need to buy a lot of stuff to get started. Like if you want to learn to quilt in a contemporary way, you've got a sewing machine, you got fabric, you got a rotary cutter, you got a ruler, you got a mat, there's all this stuff you have to buy, which can be simpler. I mean, it can be a needle, thread, and scissors, but with watercolor, it's like needle, thread, and scissors type of purchase. I bought Crayola watercolors, just 8 colors, and the brush that came with it, and then a pack of paper. I have since been gifted a very nice watercolor set, and then I gifted myself a set of brushes. But it's something you can just start in really inexpensively. I think I used a jar from my recycling bin for my brushes, and that was it. And I spent some my mats that I used painter's tape and a cut up box from Amazon to mount my paper on. So if you're all in on quilting like I am, we tend to focus in, and just a reminder to broaden out and maybe try something like embroidery, which is textile, but outside of what we do, where we're focused on, and just branch out and see what else you can learn.
And who is the author? I'm gonna no worries. I will make sure that we know who the author is and all that kind of fun stuff. There'll be links to all the books and everything.
Don't ask me my name right now either.
I do have another question for you. What's the fabric line behind you?
That I don't know. It's about 25 years old.
And it's still in plastic?
Oh, this line here. These two don't have anything to do with each other.
No. I really want to know
about
about
this line from Riley Blake.
And
it's Christmas Basics by Riley Blake Designers.
So it's an in-house.
I have it on my website.
Which is debbybrownquilts.com.
I'm thinking Christmas pajamas.
Ooh, Christmas apron?
But pajamas, mostly.
Pajamas?
I'm thinking I need pajamas and a robe.
I think so too.
For Christmas pictures.
So. All right. My final book today is the Doll Studio Boutique. I have to tell you a funny story. Debbie, do you remember when we drove to Pittsburgh.
Mhm.
It
And you
was
made me drive
my,
across the George Washington Bridge? Nope, don't remember it at all.
no, yeah, I know it was so weird. And you did such a good job. I was so proud of you. Yes, Debbie was literally white fist, like her fingers were, but once we got across the bridge, she was fine. Um, and I remember you and your husband were in Toastmasters at the time, and you entertained me with one of your speeches for probably about 30 minutes through the Delaware Water Gap. Weird. I know. I have weird memories. Anyway, on that trip, as I was heading to the airport to come home in the super shuttle, I met Erin, and she had her first book with C&T came out right around that time. So this is what, 7 or 8 years ago. And she is still, I know, like, first of all, we've known each other for a very long time now. And secondly, like, I, Erin, when we got in the super shuttle, Erin chatted about her book from the time that we started heading to the airport until we got there. And I was like, wow, she is really just very excited about her book. And I see that my camera has decided to go out. So I'm going to pause the recording and restart. Anyway, as we were so for anybody joining us, my camera decided to die. Anyway, from the time that we got into the super shuttle all the way to the airport, Erin just really talked about her book and how excited that she was that her book had just come out. And I, I have nieces, and they both had 18-inch dolls at the time, and that's what Erin writes and teaches about, is making garments for those 18-inch dolls. And this book takes a little bit of a departure from that, because while the focus for years has been on those 18-inch dolls, she's actually started doing patterns for other size dolls, which creates, it really kind of opens the possibility and takes some of the guesswork out of doing garment sewing. And the one thing that I love about Erin's style is, again, she's easy, she's approachable, she's a natural teacher. So you get that, that confidence to build your skill set as you're going through making the clothes for the dolls. And I think in looking at, and following her books throughout the years, I think this is skill sets that if you as a quilter wanted to make clothes for yourself, some of this would actually give you the skill set and the confidence to go ahead and make clothes on a larger size. And so I think, like, it's approachable, and the photography in her books are just adorable. This one, I think it's the cover, but it's within the first few pages, has a VW bug. So like, if you have fond memories of driving in a VW bug when you were a child in the 70s, raise your hand. So anyway, so that would be my third book, my third recommendation. And if you have a love of 18-inch dolls, this is one of those books to get to help create that bespoke wardrobe that you've always been looking for.
I don't have a love for 18-inch dolls, but I do have a new granddaughter.
I think, Debbie, you may want to.
And before I go on with my pick, I want to
Yeah.
say that I drove Terry to Pittsburgh, and
Yes.
she had to fly home because she was leaving early. I didn't abandon her in Pittsburgh and make her fly home. I just wanted to straighten that out. She had to fly home
No.
before the show was over.
Yes, this is true. I did need to get home before the show was over. Debbie stayed. You stayed for a few extra days after I left, I think, right? Visiting family. And This is when, I think this was the trip that Talenti was all the rage on the trip.
It was.
Yes, we had lots of Talenti. All right, so your third book.
My third book is not a book. It is a
What?
half square triangle deck. And it is a deck of half square triangle cards with different shading, so you can build your own blocks. And right now, it's winter, it's Christmas season. My husband and I are opening an advent calendar every night at dinner.
Mm-hmm.
For us, because we're adults, it's Legos. And we are building Legos every night at dinner. So I thought that other touchable, tangible, movable, tactile things for dinner table conversation, to build a quilt block, fudge around with the blocks. And I've discovered I'm not very good at building Legos, but maybe I'm better at building quilt blocks.
You're not good at building Legos? I'm going to presume there's somebody in your house who is very good.
The engineer who loves Star Wars, yes.
Yes, yes. Is it a Star Wars advent calendar?
I did. I bought a Star Wars Lego advent calendar. I did.
Oh, that's awesome. And so, so the quilt deck, then, it's actually that I can see that
cards.
Box of cards.
Manipulatives. Mm-hmm. And I've already bought it.
Oh, yay. Very excited about that. So will we be seeing any of the quilt designs on your social media?
Maybe, if something good comes up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of stuck right now on 16 patches. That's what I work with. That's what I design with. So I don't do a lot of triangle stuff. But I'll play around and see what happens.
Yay. Well, I actually just can't wait to see. So this has been the book report for December 2022. I am really excited about the books that we got to talk about today. And I love that you incorporated not quilting and gifts for other people. Like, that just really makes me very excited, because watercolor, and I love that the buy-in on watercolor is not really expensive.
I'm thinking my first outlay was $10.
Right.
And I had some really fun afternoons just playing with that little Crayola $3 pack of paints, or however much it cost.
That, which is really important. And we have embroidery and garment sewing. So quilters, here you go. Thank you for joining us for the book report this afternoon, and we'll look forward to seeing you next month. Thanks.
Happy quilting.
Happy quilting. Bye.